Good day, everybody. This is part three of our study on the covenant ratification under the subject matter of the Abrahamic covenant. Taken once again from the same book, The Covenant Theology, authored by John Scott Red on the particular Abrahamic covenant. So it says here on its page 139, faith in the Lord to fulfill his promises provides the groundwork for the covenant requirements that follow. That Abraham asked for a sign does not discredit him before the Lord, but rather the Lord acknowledges his concern and graciously provides him with a sign in the form of a covenant ratification ceremony. Taking into account yung ating last lesson regarding the reading of Genesis chapter 15 from verse 1 up to verse 21, it talks about the covenant ratification ceremony. There's a particular ceremony given by God in a vivid illustration of what a covenant really entails. This is what the theologians would call covenant ratification ceremony. Drawing from the findings regarding the ancient Near Eastern treatise, we can identify certain elements of the ceremony that begins in Genesis chapter 15, verse 7. The Lord somewhat abruptly recalls the ways in which he has blessed Abraham already, calling him out of Ur to give him the land. This recollection is not non sequitur, meaning it is not irrelevant. However, this recollection is not irrelevant in the passage, but rather indicates the commencement of the ceremony, beginning with a historical prologue that recounts instances of divine benevolence in the past, comparing it with the covenants with Moses in Deuteronomy chapter 1, verse 1 up to chapter 4, verse 43, and also likewise comparing it with the covenant of God with David in 2 Samuel chapter 7, verse 8. The covenant is founded on God's freely, take note, no? The covenant is founded on God's freely initiated acts of grace toward Abraham, not on anything that Abraham has done in the past to merit the promises of God. This is what the theologians would call the unconditional election. The unconditional election of God towards Abraham in using him and choosing him before the foundation of the world to be a man whom he will choose, to guide the people of Israel into the promised land. Not only on that, with those underlying promises of God that Abraham will be the father of many nations and the people of God would be blessed because of that. So marami pa tayo aaralin regarding this particular truths about the Abrahamic covenant. So magtiyaga lang po tayo, stay put sa ating pag-aaral. The dramatic tension of the passage is heightened in Abram's interruption to again ask for a sign. But the Lord continues by commanding Abram to prepare the sacrificial animals for the ceremony. Genesis chapter 15, verses 8 to 9. Knowledge of ancient covenant treaties elucidates the purpose of the animal sacrifices. Covenant participants would create sometimes vivid illustrations of the fate that would befall any participant who broke the terms of the covenant. In some cases, effigies of the covenant participants would be burned or melted during a ceremony, while in others, animals would be slaughtered. Their viscera scattered on the ground, making greasy path that the participants would walk down together as the terms of the covenant were read aloud. Ito po yung mga examples, illustrations when it comes to the covenant ratification in a form of a ceremony. Yung Abrahamic covenant kasi nagpakita ang Diyos ng isang form of a ceremony by using animals in that respect. By protecting the carnage from carrion birds in Genesis chapter 15, verse 11. Abram shows that he rightly understands the sacred nature of the event that is unfolding. Now, to continue, the coming darkness of night in Genesis 15, verse 12, creates a dramatic effect as the narrative reaches its climax. while also foreshadowing the sobering timetable of a generations-long hiatus before the offspring of Abram will receive their inheritance of the land. The deep sleep in Genesis 15, verse 12, is the same word used to describe the slumber that Adam experiences in Genesis chapter 2, verse 21, as well as the sleep of spiritual ignorance in Isaiah 29:10. And the dreadful darkness evokes images from the Exodus and conquest in Exodus during the time of Moses in Exodus chapter 10, verse 21 and 22, Exodus 14:20, Exodus 15:16, and Exodus 23:27. Also in Deuteronomy chapter 4, verse 11, and Josiah or rather Joshua chapter 2, verse 9. As the ceremony reaches its crescendo, the weight of entering into a covenant relationship with a deity overwhelms Abram, and he loses consciousness. The passing of the fire pot, take note, yung mga illustration doon sa covenant ceremony na yun, sa Genesis chapter 15, the passing of the fire pot and torch through the animal parts poses some problems in terms of what exactly it means in the ceremony, but it is evident that it emphasizes the unconditionality of the covenant. Just as God unilaterally elected Abram and called him from Ur, blessing him along the way, so the Lord alone is bearing the burden of the terms of this covenant. This is what the theologians would call the unilateral covenant of God with Abram. But as we go along with our study, we will be dealing with some of the components of this particular covenant. The promises of the offspring of Abram to inherit the land and the length of the period beforehand are the business of a just God. It is God's business, who will not give over the land until the act of conquest is warranted by the widespread sin of the inhabitants in the land in Genesis 15, verse 16. The generic name Amorite is used to represent all the people currently settled in the land. Though a more detailed accounting of the peoples of the region is given later in the narrative of Genesis 15, verses 19 to 20. Now, the fact that Abram's offspring will spend the intervening 400 years in slavery, this is in slavery in Egypt, during the time of Moses, is not fully explained, leading early Jewish interpreters to interpolate verbiage to the effect that Abram must have committed a sin to warrant such a difficult prospect. There is no biblical evidence of such sin, but the reality of future enslavement does not complicate the prospective outlook of the covenants. I'd like to cut or end this topic today on this particular day regarding the covenant ratification, part 3 from the Abrahamic covenant, and we will be continuing next meeting on some of the important things with regard to this particular topic of discussion. We will be dealing with the covenant confirmation on Genesis chapter 22 and so on and so forth. So for the meantime, just be attentive to our Bible study on this topic, and I would like to thank you once again very much for your listening ears, attending to this Bible study online, hearing and viewing this very great Abrahamic covenant. Until next time, to God alone be all the glory, and see you very, very soon. Thank you so much.